Welcome to the zanzeezeepodcast with Ryan, Raddad 2023, and Martin
Hello.
on the interweb.
Hi.
And this has been long overdue. I have
Say that
news for
again.
you I have news for you, ladies and gentlemen. Diablo's back.
I had no idea.
It's up to us in Tristram to stop him. He's on the loose. And yeah, holy shit. Diablo 4 just came out. So we're going to talk about the series briefly and go over our experiences with the games. Let's just start right there, dude. When did you first start playing the Diablo games?
Man, I started with Diablo 2 as like a 20-something-year-old working at Blockbuster Video in 2000 or so, 2002 maybe. And yeah, I would get out. I was a big StarCraft nerd, so I was already kind of hooked into the Blizzard train. Hadn't played a little bit of Diablo 1 on like PlayStation, but not enough to like nothing to write home about. But actually, I think I remember playing Baldur's Gate 2 first for the PS2. So that was actually like the first ARPG I actually ever got into. Then I found out about Diablo. Right? Yeah. Then I found out about Diablo and I was like, oh yeah, let's do it. So I grabbed that, played it for a bit, and then found out a couple of dudes that I knew from work played too. So we'd get out of work at midnight there, go home, play until the sun came up pretty much.
Heck yeah.
All day, every day.
You know, interestingly enough, that was a game I played with an ex of mine for quite a bit. It was one of the few times I had like a solid gaming experience. And I remember distinctly thinking Baldur's Gate 2 at the time was like,
this You're is talking like about Baldur's Gate, not Diablo.
Right. Yeah. Okay. No, I just wanted to piggyback on that and say that was one of the most fun times. And I remember thinking this would be like a perfect game model to play with friends at home or something like that.
Oh yeah, and like when Diablo 3 came out, like everybody was saying it was a big time like girlfriend game because it was something you could just play couch co-op.
Yeah, she could make her own little character or he or whatever, and you could like, you know, it had this aesthetic that I loved. Obviously, being like a huge fan of Dungeons and Dragons even before that. Okay, so what about the first Diablo? Did you play that on PC or were you more of the StarCraft boy?
The first Diablo, like Diablo 1, I played it briefly for PlayStation 1. Never got into it on PC. I was big time into StarCraft. I would play that all the time. I played probably thousands upon thousands of games of StarCraft. But yeah, and then when I found out that a bunch of people I knew played Diablo, that is when I really like jumped into it head first. I mean, it was like dial-up internet and shit. It was like my first apartment, so it was on like Net Zero. Do you remember that? Like it was like the free dial-up internet, but you had to like use their program, and it was super stupid. But there was like a thing where you could like just dial in directly to their number and just like not use their program but get the internet for free. So it was like that was my 20s basically. It was like stealing internet from stupid Net Zero and playing Diablo with my buddies.
Meanwhile, you had
Wyvern Claw. If you're out there, long time no see, my dude.
I remember distinctly the AOL disc and the because actually my dad we ended up having Diablo and I played it on if I remember correctly, it was a Dell computer, and I had a few buddies who were playing that, and then I think there was online multiplayer game at the Ultima was the game that my buddy was playing, and I was playing Diablo. Got into StarCraft, but The original Diablo was it was cool. I guess I was kind of put off by just the muted, like, dark color palette. Like I remember distinctly liking StarCraft a bit more because it just had a sci-fi angle. If we go by the Wikipedia, though, as far as a description of the first game, it's an action role-playing dungeon crawler video game series developed by Blizzard North. Blizzard, obviously, now there's this big deal currently in the media because Blizzard and Activision have joined forces and now are part of Microsoft, I guess, is the short.
I don't think
version.
that's happened. Blizzard and Activision merged a long time ago, didn't they? Like years ago. And then
Yeah.
Microsoft is trying to like make a blockbuster deal where they acquire them because that's kind of what Microsoft does, but they're getting pushback from regulators and stuff, from like anti-monopoly people, which is understandable, but it's like, oh, now you care? Like you let Amazon basically snatch up everything in the world, and now all of a sudden we care about big tech companies. So whatever. I honestly don't care either way.
No, for guys like me and you who primarily play on Xbox, though, it's kind of like, oh, well, I guess that means we'll get like first dibs on Diablo series in the future, or if they ever port StarCraft to Xbox or anything like that. Obviously, I remember thinking back in the day, like, because but even previous to, and I guess this is getting into my experiences with Blizzard, I played World of Warcraft briefly for about 6 months and got way too into it. I love multiplayer games, specifically of that nature, though, like in a fantasy land where you can, infinitely kind of build up your character in a certain way, or
Sure.
if you want to quest with friends or on your own, like you can do that. With not Microsoft, with Blizzard, though, there's always been a good sheen of polish to their games, and that's something that I appreciate, much like Nintendo or what's the other company I want to think of? Like even with like games like Final Fantasy, like the Square games. So with Diablo, yeah, Diablo 1, Diablo 2. Now you said you played Diablo 2. Was that like online? Did you stick with it, or?
Oh yeah. We partied up in there, played with 2 other dudes, and yeah, I played that for probably a good few months, oddly, and like every day. So I probably put a good few 100 hours into that, and that was back when I didn't normally play games, put that much time into games, especially after StarCraft. But I mean, yeah, that one was it was great. And the music, love the music.
Yeah,
all
I got
that
it in the
ambient
back.
stuff. It's so good. And like with all of them is. So it's just so easy to like log in, and then before you know it, like it's the next day.
Diablo 2, much like StarCraft 2, which I felt was like a huge step up as far as quality. The initial reaction I had to it was much better than the first. I'll be honest. Like I said, the first one, I liked it, but I felt like there was more variety, especially with like landscapes and like gear and things like that.
Sure. And the first one was like really, if I remember correctly, it's been a while, but I mean, it was really limited, wasn't it? There was only like 3 classes, and it was basically like all just dungeon crawling.
Right. Which can be fun, but I guess at the time I was more, again, I needed a little bit more variety. There are like obviously diehards out there who love that first one, and I completely respect that. But I think at the time I was just like put off a little bit by the kind of muted color scheme, and it was fun. It did its thing. As you mentioned, the music is amazing, and I think in the second one it just got better. The second one is primarily where they introduced the necromancer, which we kind of discussed last night a little bit. But the series overall is set in this dark fantasy world of Sanctuary, and its characters are primarily humans, angels, and various classes of demons and monsters. The first 3 games in the series take place in similar geographical areas, with several common areas, including the town of Tristram and the region around Mount Ariat. Other notable settings include the High Heavens and the Burning Hells, 2 separate realms with ties to Sanctuary. The series primarily focuses on the ongoing conflict between the humans living in Sanctuary and the demon hordes who are led by Diablo. The series' overarching antagonist, Satan. The humans are occasionally aided by angels, notably the Archangel Tyrael. As of April 8th, 2020, the series has sold nearly 100 million copies worldwide. And that's not even counting 4, which the numbers are pretty staggering on that.
Oh, yeah. That was what, like 10 million already? Or like in the first week or something stupid?
Yeah, I'll pull those up before we end the episode, but mostly I just wanted to kind of hit on the first 3 as far as like information that's out there and online. Diablo 2 was a huge deal, and the first 2 games were specifically only PC until Resurrected came out later. That
of course,
pretty great port, I would say. Diablo 3 though was a big moment. Obviously, we mentioned the Resurrected coming, but that was actually after 3 came out. Diablo 3 came out, or I'm sorry, it was announced on June 28th, 2008. Diablo 3 takes place 20 years after Diablo 2. There are 5 character classes. Is that your doggy?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
They're idiots.
Lil, is that a summoning spell?
Yeah, I think so.
Don't make me use corpse explosion. Just kidding. Okay, so the only directly returning class is the Barbarian. The Barbarians have a variety of revamped skills in Diablo 3 at their disposal on the use of their incredible physical prowess. I played as a Barbarian. In 3, I played as pretty much all the classes. Now 3, that's when the 2 of us directly started playing Diablo together.
Yeah, probably. Barbarian was the first thing I did in Diablo 2. And it was okay, but then when I started messing around with other classes, like especially once I got the Lord of Destruction expansion, I never did the Necromancer with that one, but I did do the Assassin. The Assassin was my shit for a while. Like the Trap Assassin was just so fun. In 2, getting the claws and being able to like drop those traps and stuff was like super fun. A little bit of a like martial arts. So it was kind of like a mix of like the monk and the I guess what the rogue would be in Diablo 4. But yeah, and then Paladin too. Played a lot of Paladin in 2.
Paladin was fun.
Paladin was cool.
There's always I always feel like there's 2 different modes, especially with 3, where it was like, do I want to run up and just beat the shit out of demons, or do I want to stand back and let my minions and or spells do the damage? But 3 was great because it also really kind of started to introduce the seasons, which were now effective in 4. You were actually the one who got me back into playing it because of the seasons, and we played. And now seasons are basically like a period of time in an update in said series game that there could be like quests kind of pertaining to like updates or there could be like an added on, say like slew of different dungeons that you could like look for new gear, new loot, level up experiences. Diablo 3 specifically was big for me because the multiplayer was so much fun, especially when it's like you can party up with your friends and like tear through, similar to like say something you could have done like in World of Warcraft back in the day, but now more mainstream, especially with home consoles and people like doing Xbox
Right. I
Live
think
parties.
critically, the big thing with 3 and the thing that got me back into it, because I remember hearing about the launch and following the launch, and it was like a giant shit show, and it just didn't work, and everything was broken. But I don't think it came out. I think.
Well, that was specifically wasn't the big deal with that was because of the auction house.
That was another big thing, but it's just nobody could play when it first came out.
Oh yeah.
And it wasn't because of the auction house. It was just because, the servers were garbage. So for like the first night, nobody could get on. And then, everybody was unhappy about the auction house. And the auction house, I mean, I don't know. I guess it was it was an interesting idea. I'm not going to say if it's good or bad. It was interesting though. Because the auction house would have let you buy in-game items for real money. And from my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, I'm just kind of going off the top of my head, is like if you had something super rare, you could put it up in the auction house and people could buy it. And I thought that like you putting it up would like get a cut if that's like either in-game gold or real world money, something like that. And I mean,
it feels,
the thing is,
it feels like a decent idea though, like to because you do get so much loot in the game, and having the ability to just get rid of it if you don't want to stash it. I guess I can understand that, but there was some tomfoolery that kind of went with that as well, as far as like, I don't know, like people mining things, similar things to what happens with other online multiplayer games where people just mine for gear or whatever.
Well, I thought that they killed the auction house pretty quick after it came out. Like it was hugely unpopular when it came out. But once it came out to the consoles, they had kind of ironed all of that stuff out already. So I remember getting it for the 360, like the day it came out. I was like sitting there waiting for it. And another thing that the PC players hated was that it was completely kind of retooled. And I mean, I guess you could even say dumbed down the way like the skill tree went and the controls were. They kind of rebuilt it to work with controllers, which I think for the diehard Diablo fans was a big slap in the face. But for people, more casual people like me, that's not like playing the game to try to break it. I just want to mess around and have a good time, pass some time, play something that's like a dopamine hit. I really appreciated that, like the dodge and the ease of use. The evade that they threw in, I thought it was a lot of fun. And the way that you kind of just get all the skills, like as you level up, and then you just choose what you want to do from there.
And that's, I would say Diablo 3 is probably one of my favorite gaming experiences of the past 10 years, because it really, I mean, if people want to like criticize the game for being basically just a Pixar beautiful art, amazing clicker game, basically in essence, because you're just clicking buttons to, get upgrades, whatever. I get that criticism too, but it's a beautiful aesthetic. It's a fun game. I don't really pay attention to the story. I click through the cinematics. Some of them I'll watch, like the first playthrough of a campaign, I'll generally watch most of the stuff just to see what kind of ridiculousness happens.
Oh yeah, and like Blizzard's cutscenes are always great, especially the rendered ones and not the in-game. Like they're amazing.
Right.
They always have been.
Yeah. I will say that also I appreciate the torment, like the dungeon, what were those torment things that I'm trying so much to not just read off of my fucking computer, but like we would do essentially these run throughs where you would go in with like higher level players and try to get maybe like you get like a 30-minute window to run in and just tear up a bunch of baddies and then some sort of final sub boss.
Oh, right. Yeah. In 3, you mean there was like, there was a
Yeah.
lot of like these like arcadey things where you could just kind of jump in and do like these little like challenges. And that was
Right.
super fun, man. Like once you ran through the game, because that was the big thing. Like I had people I introduced to the remaster of Diablo 2 and got into it for the first time then. And you know, it's amazing just the way people interface with games. Some people are used to playing, you know, single player games and like going through the campaign and being like, I'm done. And it's like trying to tell them like, that's not the way Diablo is, dude. Like
Right.
we're gonna go through like that last boss a billion times to try to like re-roll for better gear and whatnot. And I'm kind of in the middle of that because, you know, I feel like the high level Diablo players or whatever, the people that are into the quote unquote end game stuff, like, I mean, that's just too much of a commitment for me. Like I can't put that many hours into a game. Like no matter what.
I will say the expansion, the Rise of the Necromancer is a incredible, like, especially when it came out. I had played initially through the campaign of Diablo 3, jumped back into it with you, and then like kind of fallen off, and then did another run through where we were playing as higher level players with our friend Adam. And that was so much fun that I, like, when 4 was announced, immediately messaged him. But that's without getting too far into the weeds with the 4th installment of the Diablo franchise, an MMORPG for iOS and Android called Diablo Immortal. Which I did play.
Yeah, I've played it a little bit. I installed it, but I'm loath to include that in the Diablo pantheon.
I felt like it. I felt like it had to at least be mentioned. There's probably people who like the free-to-play model. I just don't. Not in my. I hate to sound like a Texan here, but not in my Diablo. It's kind of one of those things I just don't really want. And I guess that leads us finally to what we were here to talk about mostly, Diablo 4. I'll say right off the bat, it's exactly what I wanted, and I love it.
Okay.
So we're not getting any shekels on the side from this. So like, this is from the heart. This was my most anticipated game other than say Zelda, which I have been playing and it's fun, but I've way more been playing Diablo 4 and having a blast. So
I mean, initially it's a lot of fun. Like I'm pretty happy with it. And there's a lot of stuff that, and it's weird because I don't think I've ever like been into a Diablo like when it first came out and like been in the whole zeitgeist and the whole you know, that initial rush to figure the game out and to like kind of break it and bend it over backwards and like, you know, explore every little stupid thing. And then so I feel like, I don't know, it's been fun to try to kind of go through at my own pace. I think that what they did with it, like I'm not a fan of the always online.
Yeah, that was a Diablo 3 thing though, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't. Like there was an offline version of Diablo 3 you could play.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think a lot of the people's complaints are kind of overblown. Like, you know, you should know better than to play a high level hardcore character like within the first weeks of an online only game starting out. Like you're asking for trouble. And I sympathize with the people that like lost these high level characters because they were playing and they had like a server blowout or something. But at the same time, it's like, man, wait till they iron that shit out before. Like I love playing hardcore characters, but I'm not even gonna attempt it until everything's smoothed over.
Well, and that goes for anybody. I never understood the waiting in line the day of a system release because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I got a red ring of death on my first Xbox 360. My first PS4 I had to send back. My, you know, like even with big like AAA games, you kind of want to suss that one out for a little while before you fully commit. I mean,
sure, and
I'm not
especially
opposed.
nowadays. And I actually, you know, I was gonna wait for it. I wasn't in any hurry to get in like opening day, but then it just so happened like I had the time off and stuff, and so I was like, okay, well, I guess I've got some time I can sink into this, so I may as well grab it. And I mean, the first week or two before they did a little patch, it was like almost unplayable. Like I was just getting bumped off all the time. Then it improved a little bit better. They smoothed out the network issues. And then it kind of came back sporadically, but I think a lot of that was on my end. But that stuff is annoying when you're in the game. You have to go through the whole login process again, just from getting like bumped off, you know, something stupid. I mean, it's been an annoyance, but hopefully I'm past that. And from what I've talked to with other people, like that's not a common thing. So I'm taking it as a me issue and not a game issue.
You started as a druid?
Rogue.
No? Rogue. Okay.
And actually, yeah, I actually looked up the characters before I did like a cursory kind of glance. I didn't nerd out and say, oh well, if I get this character with this amount of stuff and this weapon, I can do this much damage, and that's going to be viable for end game. It's like, no way, man. Like, I just want to have fun with this thing for a while until I try to figure out these like game breaking builds. Right. So yeah, the rogue was super fun. It's weird because there's no healer in this one. And there's normally always a healer, like the monk and the paladin were like the healer classes before. And there's no real good ranged option either. The rogue is close, but I do like how there's kind of a built-in variability in all the classes though.
Well, let's just quick mention the classes. There's a barbarian, a sorcerer, druid, rogue, and a necromancer. So I started as a barbarian. You did rogue. We both played through the initial campaign. What did you think of the game overall as far as like going from Diablo 3 to Diablo 4? Like the experience, the loot, the sound.
Well, again, I
graphics,
just love
all that stuff.
I love the variability of all the classes, and even like class specifically. And the way that like Diablo 2, when you were putting the skill points in, it was one and done. Like there was no getting it back until you like changed difficulty levels or something. You could do it once, pull it down, and then put your skills in. But that sucked. You had to like really do a lot of research and know what you were doing. Are you trying to clam bake your cat, dude?
Yeah, dude.
A video podcast. You're just like, time to get stoned, cat.
No, it's a vape, but fine. You sleepy boy.
But yeah, the way that you can like just wipe all of your skill points and build it again is just been so much fun for me. Like I'll try something out and then play that way for a bit, and if it doesn't hit, then I'll pull it down, try it out. I'll dump a couple skills into whatever new thing, try that. So I had my rogue like down to where I really, she was like poison and trap. So like all of my, it was basically like I would just poison people and then wipe them out.
Which is cool.
Super fun way of playing.
You mentioned play styles. Now you're the one who kind of clued me into builds. Do you maybe you can text it to me and I can add it to the description of the video. There's a Discord or not a Discord. Was it a Discord for builds?
No, it's a website.
Okay.
The domain ends in GG, so it kind of makes it look like a Discord server, but no, it's a website. There's plenty of them out there. There's probably apps for your phone too. That was just kind of the first thing I found that worked.
Okay.
And basically, yeah, it's just a thing where you can plot points in. And I've used them for every Diablo I've played. 3 wasn't really so but there are certain things like, modifiers that you could unlock for your skills in Diablo 3. So it's kind of important to see like what you could work towards. And that's kind of how this goes too, is like, and if you want to, you can go all the way. You can like plug in your exact weapon and damage per second, and then put your skills, plug them all in, and then boom, you know exactly how much, damage you're going to be putting out if you use this skill 3 levels down the line with the same weapon.
I think that can be something that maybe some player, like a more casual player, might overlook, are things like builds, but they do help quite a bit, and it was
I would
really
hope
used.
not, because it's like a fundamental part of the game. You don't want to just start dropping points and stuff willy-nilly.
No, of course not. But I'm saying like with regard to say things like jewels and how those correlate with like your particular build, like say topaz is something that would help for armor, and if you're light on armor, you might want to upgrade to like a full-on topaz and socket that into the appropriate whether or not it's gear and or weaponry. But there's also other aspects to that, especially when it comes to the different types of gear that you acquire. So you have your common, your rare, your magic inspired, which you want to especially pay attention to what kind of damage you're doing according to what class you're using. So like I said, I played originally as a barbarian, so a lot of the stuff that I had, because I was the guy that would just come in and just and smash on shit. I wanted to make sure that I had high armor. Whereas with now, where we're playing through the season, we're doing necromancer builds. So a lot of the guys that are going in are our skeletal army, our skeletors, running in and just wreaking havoc on demons while we stand there.
And I played a bit today though, and I kind of farted around with some other stuff. So now my necromancer, like I actually sacrificed the skeleton, so I have no more skeleton army anymore. But that gave me it gave me like a 15% damage increase.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that's kind of a fun thing that the necromancer class has. Is you can sacrifice your ability to have these skeletal summons, but in doing that, the trade-off is like a bigger bonus somewhere else. So I think like I got like 20 more of my essence or whatever it is, the mana basically, by getting rid of my skeletal mages. And so now I just have the golem, and that dude just walks around like a big hoss and like just takes all my damage, and I can sit back there and put blight on people. So that's been fun. I'm just probably still gonna like fine tune it a little bit, but it's been a lot of fun doing that, because this one, like the golem will have a certain amount of your thorns. So that's what I'm going to try to do with the necromancer, like going forward, is I'm going to try to bump up my thorns really big. So I'm just doing like, I want to just do like a bunch of damage per second and passive damage with the necromancer, because it seems like a really fun way of doing it. So I'm doing like a lot of like shadow damage. I'm doing blight or decompose for my main, and then blight for my secondary. And I'm thinking about getting rid of corpse explosion too, and just going with the curses. There's decrepify, and I can't remember or Iron Maiden. Yeah, those two. And those are curse dudes.
I was using Iron Maiden initially, and then I backtracked into the Bone Zone area where I'm doing all bone damage shit.
Yeah, the Bone Zone.
But yeah, I love it. And we played through a Stronghold last night, which I guess we should kind of break down the way that the gameplay is. I mean, obviously the core formula for the series revolves around getting better gear, slowly upping it.
Kill monsters, get stronger, get your ass kicked, find better
Get your ass
stuff,
kicked.
kill more
Right.
monsters. Like
So,
that's the loop
but
right there.
that yeah, it works, but there's different things. I mean, obviously you have the different shops, you have the oddities and purveyors of mystical things. You have potions, you have your stash, your wardrobe, you have a blacksmith, a jeweler, and then a a healer. But then also you'll have these mounts. Now, I kind of love the mounts. It's not as it doesn't like necessarily slow the game if you just go by feet, because you can still zap yourself to another quadrant as long as the waypoints are unlocked.
Yeah, I think the getting around is really well done, especially because this one's a big open world as opposed to like the separated into acts like the other one was. Like,
Right.
or the other two have been like super linear.
Mm-hmm.
So the mounts help. I was kind of unimpressed with them at first, but it does help to get through. And it's nice because with the mounts, unless you're going through a ton of like super overpowered enemies, then you just run right through them. You don't have to worry about getting stopped by mobs all the time and like getting distracted. So you can just kind of zoom through.
Right. What do you think about the dungeons and strongholds?
So the dungeons are, I don't know, they're different because they're so much smaller in this one. And I don't necessarily mind that, but it's almost like they're too small. I mean, before, especially like Diablo 3 had like these giant, like multi-level sprawling dungeons. And they were kind of a pain in the ass if you just wanted to pick up and play for a little bit. You're in for a good, if you went down into one of those dungeons, you're in there forever trying to clear that thing out.
Right. Like if you want a solid 20 to 30 minute like blast with your buddies, I think it works. But it could be one of those quantity over quality type situations too.
Yeah. But so the dungeons here, like, I think too small, but it is interesting how they give you specific rewards and how you know what those rewards are right off the bat. So like those aspects that you can put onto your weapons and stuff and your items, you can look at the map and know where to get that stuff. And they're not like giant, but they make a big difference. And especially if you're building towards a certain specific type of build, there might be one that you really want to get.
I'm interested to meet your golem friend. Is he just like a big hulking Jason Voorhees?
Kind of, yeah. He's a blood golem now. He was a bone golem at first, but now he's like, and since I switched him over to a blood golem, like he just doesn't die. It's awesome.
He's non-binary when it comes to fluids, I guess. So that's cool.
He's non-bound by skin. He's just a big bloody bag.
No bones, no bloods, no gods, no men will tell me what I beat.
Something like that.
That's cool, man. Yeah, I love it. But we did a stronghold last night. It was a lot of fun. It was like a druid ghost thing, and a lot of it is semi-rehashed of the same type of stuff that happens. I mean, you go in one city and one guy's like, my kid's possessed, and you go in another city and they're like, I need to find and bury the remains of my uncle Chester.
Yeah,
so then you
it's
go
RPG
around
stuff.
It's RPG stuff, but it doesn't feel. I hear this criticism in some RPGs where it feels like they'll say something like, "Oh, it's very fetch questy." I think that it actually, in ways, enhances the cities and the worlds quite a bit. Sometimes just to have that, even if it's nonsense, it still fills the game, and sometimes it can be semi-memorable. I mean, some of the storylines are pretty out there. I like, especially in the campaign, and I guess this is kind of a spoiler, so if you want, skip ahead 30 seconds, but basically when you remove the head of Elias and it's on the tree and it's just talking to you, I kind of love little like almost Sam Raimi-esque touches to the game. and that'll lead in again. I think the music is amazing. It sounds so good through the headphones when you're playing with your friends.
Oh yeah.
I love the art style. It's very medieval. I kept thinking in my head, like, some of the cities, like, very much give me like that 1400s, 1300s medieval Europe vibe, or
Oh,
like
the art
Russia.
direction. The art direction's incredible. And it has all, like the other Diablo games, it has all those little like biomes. So like the different, like there is the snow area, the desert area, the jungle area is super cool too. And then like the mud area, I guess.
Yeah.
But there are
Yeah.
like forts and stuff too. So I like how it changes as you go through. It's not like the same ugly world everywhere you go.
It's weird to say, but it's nice when you're fighting the devil and the sun's out sometimes.
Yeah, I mean nothing will beat 3 where you're fighting in heaven. I mean that was pretty bitchin'.
3 definitely has its charm.
Yeah,
I'm gonna say, overall though, I think the seasons is a win for Diablo and the franchise going forward.
sure. It'll be interesting to see what they do with them. One thing that's missing from 4 that was in 3 and 2, and I don't know if it's something that will be put in eventually or not, is sets. Like I have not seen any sets.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's a thing that just there's not going to be sets in this one, which
I'd
is
be
fine.
curious.
But remember that we did a season in Diablo 3 where everybody got a ring and it let you have one less piece of the set but still get the set collection bonus. And that was awesome for for builds, because you'd get all those like super complete set bonuses, but be able to mix and match because you wouldn't need all of the things.
True. I never really experimented with different classes as much in 3 as I am looking forward to doing in 4. It's actually exciting to really test out what different spells there are, and the artwork again, and this is another, praise to the team at Blizzard that worked on this, but like it really does feel unique and exciting to watch when you level up a spell fully and just trash a whole heap of them on a screen with your buddies.
It doesn't have 4 feels like it doesn't have this because it scales really well, or it scales really I don't know what the word is, consistently, I guess. So like back in 3, if you were starting a new character, I could take like my level 50 or whatever and run you through, and you could just run behind me and get experience just by being there. But it's not like that with this one. Like it's so weird how they do it too, because like if you're a level 2 and I'm a level 50, we can both fight the same monster, and it scales to both of us. So like every time he hits you, he's hitting you as a level 2 monster, but every time he hits me, he's hitting me as a level like 50 monster.
Do you think
and vice versa? Like,
do you think that was a miss on their part? Like, do you think that was the wrong way to go about it?
No, I mean, I think it's just different. I mean, I don't claim to know how to design a game better than fucking Blizzard of all people. So I'm not going to be some armchair game designer that's like, oh, they screwed up Diablo. I'm never going to play a Blizzard game ever again. Man, I'm going to fart in my mouth now. Like that. I hate those people. Like they just kind of ruin it.
That's impressive if you can do that. And also, I wouldn't belittle yourself, man. I mean, I know you to be a champion rapper, and Nas better look out. So,
well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's funny you say
I
that.
Love you, man.
When we talked about doing this this episode before,
yeah,
we've been talking about doing this episode since it came out, and I want to see if I still have it. If not, I'm just wasting time, and I apologize for that. But I have this like
for a minute.
I have like the Chat GPT, and I asked it to write a rap about Diablo 4.
Nice. You should read it.
Oh man, I don't know. I think I'm blocked.
Oh, you muted yourself. Oh boy. Well, hey, that's video. That's video episode for you, ladies and gentlemen. You try to do these things on an Android. Uh-oh. Are you back? Oh no. Well, I think that's hilarious that you did a Diablo-ify to yourself. You cast a necromancer spell. And now we can't hear you anymore. But that's okay. So you can watch this YouTube video and be like, look at Marty looking at the screen.
Can you hear me now?
There he is. Yeah,
All
I
right.
can hear you.
Yeah, I'm
That was
sorry.
hilarious.
I had
Oh, you muted yourself again. Oh no. Are you back?
I think I'm back.
Okay, there you go.
Because I'm bringing up this app, but oh, here we go. All right. Are you ready? I don't want to wrap it though.
You don't have to. You just speak
Okay.
from your heart, my man.
All right. So I asked ChatGPT, can you write a rap song about Diablo 4? And this,
Okay.
do you want to hear what it came up with?
Yes.
Okay, I'll give you at least the first verse and the chorus, or maybe verse, chorus, verse. We'll see. I'll
Go
check in
for
with
it.
you. All right, you ready?
It's just
Verse
me, man.
one.
Nobody's gonna watch this.
You never know. This might be the thing that blows you up.
Oh boy.
Look, listen to this crazy podcast where they did a ChatGPT Diablo 4 rap. I feel like I want to put like a beat background, but I won't match it. So, oh shit, we got a dancing cat and everything. We're off the hook. All right, you ready?
Yes, go for it.
ChatGPT Diablo 4. Yo, listen up now. We about to explore a game that's dark, intense. Diablo 4, a masterpiece, a journey like never before. Let's dive in deep and feel the inferno roar. Chorus, Diablo 4, the game we adore. With demons of darkness, we'll leave the score. Unleash your power, show them what you're fighting for. In this eternal battle, forever we soar. Verse 2, in Sanctuary, a world of despair. Demons and monsters lurking, they don't play fair. Choose your class, the hero of your dreams. Crusader, sorceress, barbarian, or the flashy demon hunters, it seems. It's not even writing a song about Diablo 4, it's like Diablo 3. Jesus, people use this thing to write school papers. I can't even imagine. Like, anyway.
I would have done the same thing. I might have to clip that. That was amazing. I didn't know you were gonna drop hot bars on us, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
that was pretty silly.
That was very silly. So obviously we've talked about the game. What would you say are some of your biggest gripes with it? Because it felt like you said we were talking about it last night. While we were doing our stronghold mission. It sounded like you had a few things you needed to get off your chest. Do you think you got most of that out? Or...
I think so. I mean, the big thing is the server stuff, but like I said, a lot of that's on my end, and hopefully that's fixed. Honestly, like my biggest problem with it is just like the world of people playing it. It's just like, I don't know. I hate it when people complain about stupid shit. And if you look up Diablo 4 and people talking about it, it's all people complaining about stupid shit.
Yeah,
and I'm not like I'm kind of annoyed by like it's been out for like a month and a half now, and people are just determined to like get to the end and then complain that there's not enough to do. And it's like, dude, maybe don't play the game for 12 hours a day and then complain that there isn't enough game there. Like,
there's also, I mean, you know, Tears of the Kingdom came out, and like a week later, people were building mech warriors, and
and then 3 days later, they were like, "I'm done with Tears of the Kingdom." So it's like just this, like I don't know. It's this.
I understand. You're saying
it's this predisposition people have to just rush through things, and like.
There's this silent majority of gamers also that just like to play games, and Diablo as a franchise is really kind of like, I don't know, nerd Madden, because like half our office started playing it immediately. Like,
Yeah.
I
Well,
wouldn't be
they're all playing
surprised.
during the beta.
Right. But I saw more people for Diablo come out of the woodwork like, hey, you can play Diablo, ooh, Diablo.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't know other than me and you that maybe downloaded the Immortal app on our phones, but like other than that, like I feel like when these games come out, it's a big deal, you know, like even when Hearthstone came out, which we
It's a
didn't really
huge deal. It's Blizzard's fastest selling game ever, and that's Blizzard. I mean,
right. No, it that says something. It's a testament. I mean, it's the same thing. Like and maybe I'll play the YouTube clip, but like when they announced the new Diablo game and it ended up being a handheld, like or
oh
a
yeah, yeah,
iOS,
yeah.
the
Everybody
fallout from
so
that,
pissed. Yeah.
because it's like, I mean, again, it's like there is a no, there are no brainers in this world. There will be another Mario game. There will be another Zelda game, and unless these people don't want to fill their coffers with coin, there will be another Diablo game. You know,
Hmm.
it's like these things literally print money, and all you have to do is the simplest thing when it comes to making them, just make them good. Maybe that's not as simple as I'm saying it, but at least at the end of the day, like they can learn from the past and continue to improve on it. And that's one of the reasons why I love gaming so much, is that it seems like every few years we get a blockbuster that just knocks it out of the park, and hopefully it continues to grow and the online
Well,
discourse
that's the
shuts
thing.
the
I
fuck
think
up.
that, 2, 3 years from now, it's going to be a completely different game.
Diablo 3 was the same for
Yeah.
sure.
And Diablo 2, like when they put that big expansion in, whenever they come out with an expansion, it changes the entire game from top
True.
to bottom. So, and they already say they're probably going to be looking at putting out 2 big expansions for this. So, I'm probably looking at least a couple more classes. And who knows what other, I mean, even with this season, like we have different gear with like different types of sockets that you can only put certain things in.
Yeah.
That's specific just to the season. So it's going to be cool. Like they're going to do fun stuff with it.
And I mean, overall, gaming is an experience for the individual, and you make the best of it depending upon your current mood. And I think a lot of people are just pitchy and moany.
Yeah.
Uh, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I'm a glass half full guy. I tend to like these games just out of the creature comforts they offer, sitting in my couch with my cat, smoking my vape, running
Hmm.
around
Hmm.
smashing shit, and playing with my friend Marty.
Yeah. Friend
Yeah, you should
power.
play games. You should play games with your friends. That's what they're there for. Or you can
Totally
be,
play some games with your friends.
or a board game. Board games
Play
are
some
fun too.
play some Diablo 4. I haven't played a board game forever. Um, they'll probably have a
Yeah.
Diablo 4 board game at some point, and it'll just have a bunch of like plastic pieces that
And it'll come out and literally like a week later they'll be like, on to the next thing.
yeah, well, pretty much. It'll cost like $700, and like a bunch of people will buy it and not even take it out of the box, just leave it in the shrink wrap. Just be like, oh,
I
I
read
have
the
I
I
have
read the back of
FOMO.
the box. I hate it. The miniatures don't even come painted. 1 star. Um, I don't know. It's a fun time. Yeah. If
But I
you're
mean,
eager to play,
that said, like the Diablo 4, it does scratch a lot of that board game itch with those like kind of decisions that affect like the decision space, as they call it, is pretty great in Diablo. There's a lot to do and a lot to think about.
and we should talk a bit before we start to wrap this up about this season. So the new season started July 20th, and it's basically if you want to play in the season, you have to start a new character, and you have to go into the non kind of linear campaign online still game, but do a seasonal with a new character. You were kind of mentioning it the other night, but basically, what do you think of the season, this season, this first season that they've done as far as like gameplay and the kind of continued mechanics and introducing
That's
some new
fine.
things?
And I mean, yeah, I think it's like I said, they have the different equipment with the different types of sockets. I can't even remember what they're called now. They're like the malignant hearts or
Yeah, there's
something
like
like that.
vicious, malignant,
Yeah, there's different
berserker,
types
like
that could be.
heart.
So yeah, it's just kind of cool stuff like that, and it lasts for 3 months. So you got 3 months to fart around with it, and then another season will come. I
And then
don't know. I don't know who's buying the battle passes. Like,
oh yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So there's not an auction house like we mentioned that got boo-booed to shit fuck with 3, but like this new one does have a shop, and from what we can tell, who we've played the game now for a month, the shop is purely aesthetic, and it looks like the season.
the shop is, from what I've looked at the battle pass, they do give you some kind of like aspect or something. It's like a really small kind of thing. And you might actually like, there's parts of the battle pass you can get without buying it. So like,
Oh, interesting.
yeah, so check it out. I guess
I
there was
mean,
a
I think
thing, like I read something, there was a thing where people were accidentally buying the battle pass, which I don't understand. That's really weird. But now it's like, so I guess
I
they
heard.
patched it, and now it's like I couldn't even, it was hard for me to even figure out like where it was, where to find it.
Yeah, I don't understand accidentally buying a battle pass, but then I guess it's, if sometimes you slip, fall, and accidentally enter a 16-digit credit card in
Yeah, right.
expiration.
Whoops. Just spent $10 on accident. I was just trying to put a point into my bone shield, and I got
a new mount. Now my bone golem has his dick out. It's weird.
I'm suddenly subscribed to my Barbarians OnlyFans page.
Hey, if I started one, I have the light for it now, but you can only
Yeah,
keep it on YouTube.
There you go. Yeah, but other than that, like the big thing now is like I see all these like new things pop up in my news feed or whatever, which is a whole different story. But I'm seeing all these headlines like, the premium cosmetic stuff looks so much better than the free cosmetic stuff. It's ridiculous. And I'm just like, who fucking cares? Like, good Lord, how can you even care?
I'm all I want for my goth necromancer is like a Stabbing Westward t-shirt.
That would be
I
pretty
might
cool.
drop $1 on that.
I want like a little flying Furby that follows him around. Well, fucking Diablo 3 had pets. Do you remember Diablo 3 had freaking pets, dude? It was awesome.
You're right.
You could have these little animals follow you around. I'd pay $5 to have like a little Master Chief, a little wart. Yeah, you have a warthog instead of a horse. Like, come on, man. Let's do it. Let's get stupid with it.
If my necromancer could run around with a tiny little HR puffin stuff, just like poking on a little bowl.
Yep.
Just
let's do it.
He's got his little blueberry vape. Hey man, I'm okay. Last question.
Mm-hmm.
If you were behind the team working on, say, the next Diablo, what would you change?
It's hard to say because, I mean, this Diablo is like so different. They like built it from the ground up. And the thing is, like, I'm not a game designer, so I think it's fine. I say, give me a Diablo game that looks, feels, and plays like a Diablo game, and I'll like it. Like,
no,
I've been kind of like using this as just like my time passer and my escape, and I haven't been sitting there like, well, this could be a little better. Harumph, I'm gonna go on X and make an X about it.
I'm gonna go on my dick pics release Reddit r/dick pics and sound off. No, I understand, and I completely agree. I completely agree. So there's obviously a lot to do. It's a great game to play with friends. Diablo franchise continues, and thank you, Blizzard, for that. There's a shit ton of people behind it. I remember when the credits rolled, I was like, Jesus Christ, am I in there? Like everybody in the known universe.
Yeah.
I think my cat was best grip. I don't know. There could have been a Nico in there, but it was
Well, yeah.
it was
People
fascinating to see.
complain that
Like,
games cost so much nowadays. It's like they got to pay all these people, you know.
well, I mean, $60 games or 70 even doesn't seem like much when you compare that to the $60 games we were buying in high school too. I mean,
Yeah.
when they came out,
Right.
I don't know, but it's a fun game, and you should check us out on the YouTubes, Zanzeezy Podcast. The link's in the description. If you're interested, I'll attach a link to a build site. If you're curious and you want to start your own character in Diablo, you can join our clan, which we started the
I'm build
BCM
curious.
but BCM 420 boys. You can join us. It is cross-platform. I should have mentioned that earlier. So you can play with friends who are on PC or Steam Deck. Maybe there's somebody out there who's playing it on some modified Game Boy. Who knows? But there are enough people that are out there playing, and it's fun. And you should check us out on Instagram too, Zanzeezy Podcast, or email suggestions. Join the Discord. That's about it. Marty, do you have anything else you want to mention?
No, just that my dogs are funny. And
They are
sorry
funny.
for them making a guest appearance. But other than that, no.
Okay, my dude. I love you. And that's
Love you.
been your episode. We'll see you next time. Have a great one. All right.
Oh my God. All right. I got a jet, dude. I can't stick around, but yeah, it's like I got some fires to put out. So I'll
right.
talk to you later, man.
Later.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.